Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're gonna take a look at another legend team here from Innerbloom, and honestly, this is one of my favorite teams I've played all season, so let's take a look at it. We're going to have here the Trevenant in the lead, and we're going to have a double weakness to Fire-type Pokemon, so that's an amazing lead for us with the Ninetales in the lead, but I mean Fire-type Pokemon are fairly rare. We're going to have as a Saysop here, the Diggersby, which is going to have access to Quick Attack as well as Scorching Sands, and in the back we're going to have the Alolan Sandslash, and this team was a lot of fun, and I can highly recommend you to try this one out, because honestly, like, this team was so much fun to play for me, and it's just really strong. It's like kind of those teams that I like to play, and honestly, Trevenant as well is still really strong. People kind of underestimate Trevenant now after the nerf, basically, also with no Gligar being around and like those ice types being around, but still, you're going to encounter all the Medichams still, and you kind of want to bait them out with your Diggersby, but you can take full advantage later on with the Trevenant. So Trevenant going to have some screen time here as well later on, while Diggersby is going to get a shield advantage here, I think. A double shield advantage actually, which is amazing. So we're going to be able to swap out into our Sandslash and get a ton of energy, which is amazing as well, because of course they're going to have their fire type still in the back lurking there. But I'm going to have some coverage now with my Drill Run. But they decided to go into their Lantern, which is a smart idea. But basically what I try to do here is I always try to have at least one Drill Run stored. So whenever they try to swap out into their fire type Pokemon, I should be able to just go ahead and go for another Drill Run afterwards. But I decide now to go ahead and go for no shield here. And this was actually a very smart idea, because I am going to be able to just go for a Shadow Ball and one-shot the opponent's Ninetales, and with 2 shields left, like, the opponent has no way of really doing anything against me. Yes, I might still be able to go for a charge move here, but that's why I kept all my shields. I will be able to just go ahead and just go for the full farm now. Now they're going to have a Lantern against me. I still have a move stored on my Sandslash, and while we had the worst possible lead, basically, we were still able to get back from this one, and we can move on into the next game. Let's take a look at the next game. We're going to have the Venusaur in the lead. This is going to be an okay lead for us. We can just stay in here and try to go for a Shadow Ball. We might have to bait eventually though, because it is still a little bit of an awkward one sometimes, because they have of course such Bump, which is going to be neutral against me, and they still do a ton of damage in general. And here, as you can see, this bait worked out really well, and I can now go for the Shadow Ball, which going to get the knockout if they let this move go through, and they do let this move go through, allowing me to swap out against the Sableye into my normal type Pokemon and go for a Scorching Sands immediately, which will maybe get the debuff here, which would be nice, but I rarely get the debuff. So again, here we don't get the debuff with Scorching Sands either. So we're going to be able to let this next move go through. Foul Play comes through, and we're gonna get out the Medicham. That's exactly what we want to do with this team, because now at this point of time, I'm fairly certain I'm going to be able to win this game, unless like the lag is going to destroy me completely here. But I can just go for one Scorching Sands for my Diggersby, and I can still try to go for another move, but it does not work out. But I can still take easily one charge move at least with my Trevenant here. I can just let this move go through as well. It's going to be the Ice Punch. I could try to catch another move with my Sandslash, but I decided not to do it and just going to let this Pokemon go down. And now we have basically a nearly dead Sableye against my fully health Sandslash here, which is a normal Sandslash. They used a normal Sandslash as well. You don't even need the Shadow variant. You can use the Shadow variant. But I feel like the normal one has the ability to take those moves like here. Here, maybe even the Shadow variant would have not won me the game. Maybe I would have been able to just farm them down here anyway, so maybe it does not really matter. But I can just go for a charge move here and I would win this game anyway. Let's move on to the next one. Here's exactly what we want to face in the lead. And also what we kind of want to face is a Sayswap. We're going to get out the opponent's Grand Ball, and I can just go for an Ice Punch, and this should be enough to knock them out. I feel like Grand Ball is very squishy, and yes, we can just farm them all the way down. We can even go for a Charge Move now against the opponent's Medicham that's coming in afterwards. Gonna only get to one Charge Move, so Drill Run is doing more damage and also more damage per energy compared to Ice Punch. So always go for Drill Run if you only want to get like one move off, or just if you just want to have a neutral scenario. Ice Punch is not really a great move, but still here super effective against us, but they're going to have another Charmer in the back. And luckily, this one is going to be weak against Fire Punch, which is amazing for our Diggersby. As Diggersby, of course, learns this move, and we have to use basically one shield here anyway. Fire Punch should put them into farmland range, and we're gonna get the shield anyway, so I can just overfarm by a little bit again, go for another Fire Punch, most likely gonna get another shield here, and they can still get to their own charge move, or not. I can even go for another Fire Punch, and this might even get the knockout already. It does not. They can knock me out here. I can let this move go through, go for one more Shadow Claw, and like this game is over, as our Trevenant is going to be able to easily win this game against Medicham Double Charm. What a team there, really annoying to play against, but let's move on. Next team here coming up, we're going to have a Charger Bug in the lead. That's going to be a very neutral one, but you might want to swap out eventually, maybe. I'm not sure about it. I can stay in for a little bit. I win the 0 shields here for sure. Might be a little bit tricky on like 2 shields and, yeah, 1 shield maybe even as well. But I can just go for a Shadow Ball. No real harm towards that. And I even get a ton of damage onto them. I have to still swap out here and use Switch Advantage, but at least I'm still going to have 3 Pokemon, while the opponent basically actually still has 3 Pokemon as well. But they decide to swap out into the Superior. Going to be Switch locked as well, so as soon as they're going to knock me out here with one Frenzy Plant most likely, I'm going to be able to swap in immediately into my Alone Sand Slash and hardwall the opponent, which would be amazing. So just going to swap out immediately here, and they are stuck in this matchup. And this is going to be so nice because we are also not Shadow, so we don't even take that much damage from a Frenzy Plant. So I can overfarm by quite a bit, and I can just go for the full farm down basically. And we should have a decent time here depending on what they're going to have in the bag. It's going to be a Greninja. This is not going to be that great for me yet, but I can go for a Drill Run. They're going to let this move go through. Now I can go for the Ice Punch spam as well. And I still have, I think, a Seed Bomb stored on my other Pokemon here. No, it's kind of close to the Seed Bomb at least. So I'm forced to use both of my shields against the opponent's Greninja. It's still going to be a close matchup. The opponent still has a shield left as well as 2 other Pokemon. But we're still in a half decent spot at least here, as I can try to go for a Seed Bomb. A lot of lag coming through here. This is going to get the final shield of the opponent, and they are not getting the catch here, so I can go for another Seed Bomb, knock them out. And we are looking like pretty decent here, I think. I can go for the full farm down there, and also the opponent decides to forfeit. Let's move on to the next game. Great lead for us, kinda, honestly. I mean, they also have Shadow Ball against me, but they decide to swap out into the Registeel, which is even better for me, because I can just go for the Shadow Ball. The opponent has to let this move go through, and they don't have anything to hit me. Usually, they don't run Flash Cannon. They might start running it now again for Gligar and stuff like this, or also even for Clodsire. But as you can see here, we can try to catch, which did not work out. I should have went for the Seed Bomb anyway. But I can at least get a ton of energy here, which is going to be amazing for if they want to go back into their Jellicent. But let's see what they're going to have in the back. They're going to have in the back the Noctowl. And this is actually okay for me because I can take those moves here. I know that I'm going to still have my Sand Slash in the back. And I have a ton of energy for later on for the Jellicent. And here we're going to be able to still just go for the Scorching Sands against them as well. As we knew that the opponent would swap out eventually. And we're still in such a great spot because now you're going to be able to just go for the Scorching Sands against this Pokemon, putting them into range for just Seed Bomb. And I'm fairly certain that the opponent most likely just going to go for 2 shields or Noctowl later on, as I can even go for another charge move here. Maybe they're going to let this move go through, expecting that I might have something weak against it in the back, but no, I can just swap out into my Trevenant, going to be able to get the next shield from the opponent as well. I can let this move go through, and I should be totally fine here. Surface coming through, I can go for my own Sand Slash again, and I can just go for the full farm down here, use a shield. This does more damage than anything that the other Pokemon would ever do. So at this point, I can just knock out the Jellicent before they can go for another charge move. The next Ice Punch is going to be enough to knock out, not really knock out the Noctowl. Noctowl should be able to still survive one here because Ice Punch is not great, even though it's stab plus super effective. But I should be kind of fine here with just surviving every move. But it still might be a little bit tricky because they still have a Shadow Ball here. And so, no, the opponent is not going to reach there. I can reach my Ice Punch, and that's going to be it for this game. Let's move on to the next one. Next round coming up, we're going to have another great lead here. People just don't really expect Trevenant anymore. And this thing is just so great in the current meta. Here we're going to see the matchup against the Lantern. I can just go for the Seed Bomb, do a ton of super effective damage against them, and nearly put them into farm down range as well, which is kind of funny. They go for the Thunderbolt, which is even going to be nice for me because I can just go for 5 or 6 fast moves here before like they can go to the Surf. I can just go for the Seed Bomb, and they're going to let this move go through. Having the Gligar in the back, we're going to swap out into our Diggersby, and we're gonna get out the opponent's Swampert. So again, we can align our Pokemon basically perfectly there, as I can even reach the Scorching Sands against the opponent's Swampert, and I might even be able to reach another move afterwards, which would allow us to maybe farm them down later on. So I'm just gonna try to go for the Fire Punch, but sadly, they decide to still go for the charge move prior, and so I'm going to be forced to go into my Trevenant now. I can go for the Seed Bomb. This is going to get the knockout against the opponent, but if they're going to let this move go through, it would be nice, but they do not. So I decide to let this move go through. And I can swap into my Sand Slash, and they're going to just have the Gligar. And of course, Powder Snow Sand Slash is just so good in the current meta, allowing us to just take this match up fairly easily, and the opponent decides to forfeit. Let's move on. Let's see what they're going to have next. They're going to have a Lickitung in the lead. So horrible lead for us. We're going to swap out into a Swap of the Diggersby. I expect that they're most likely going to have a Medicham in the back, but they decide to stay in for a little bit, which is fine for me. I can just take anything, but they're going to decide to go into their Venusaur, which I find quite interesting, as this allows us to go for a Fire Punch, and they are going to take this one. Not as well, to be fair, and I might even be able to realign if I want to, because I should be able to reach another Fire Punch in time, and I might even reach the next one afterwards as well in time. So let's see here, we're gonna get the shield from the opponent. Do I go for a double shield? I do go for a double shield. Was this a smart idea? We will find out shortly, I would say, as I can still try to go for the full farm down, and it did work out well for me as the opponent swaps back into the Lickitung. I have now realignment, which is amazing for me as well, as we even get the attack debuff for the first time. They're forced to go for the power whip to knock me out. They can still swap out into my Sand Slash as they're going to have their Sableye in the back, but sadly, I was a little bit too slow here, I wanted to say, but I'm still going to be able to reach another move, even though the game lagged, which is kind of nice. So you're gonna get them low, and I can still try to get to another one, but they are forced to throw their own charge move, which is going to be amazing for me, as I can still try to reach a Drill Run. I have to reach here at this point. Drill Run is the only thing that would maybe knock them out at this range, so let's see if we can still win this game. I can go for the Drill Run. This Drill Run is coming through and gonna get not the knockout. I can still farm them down. They're still going to have the Lickitung. Can we still win this game? They're gonna get to the charge move here. Maybe I should have went for the Ice Punch, but Ice Punch wouldn't have been enough, and so we lose this game just barely there. So, moving on to the next one, we're going to have the Deoxys, and yes, again, like as said before as well in several videos, for Catch Cup, I have stuff pre-produced for the last time Great League was available. I don't really have a lot of stuff built for the Catch Cup, so we're going to take a look at those teams here. Of course, if you don't have those Pokemon yet available for the Catch Cup, for example, Diggersby is going to be a little bit of a trickier one, while the other ones would be fairly easy to build right now. You can just wait until the Great League is back for the final week. This team is something that I definitely can recommend you. One of my favorite teams this season. It's just honestly kind of those teams that I like to play. Like Diggersby is like one of the Pokemon I like to play, especially with like Fire Punch and Quick Attack. I like Trevenant quite a bit. It just like honestly kind of literally the teams that I like, and of course shoutouts to Innerbloom for that. Link to their Twitter in the description, as for every time basically I copy someone's team, I always put the link in the description, or anything honestly. Like I always give credits to the sources I take for stuff, so definitely check them out there. Here we're gonna get actually the debuff, which is kind of nice for me, and I decided to go for the Fire Punch, which is a little bit risky because they definitely do survive that still. That's gonna put them into a farm down range basically for me, but they actually use a shield, which is amazing, so I can go for another Fire Punch eventually as well. Should have went straight for it, but I thought that they would go straight for their own move, which they didn't apparently. So here, Fire Punch is going to be again another Steam P-Tail. Let's see if they're going to use another shield. They do use another shield and swap out now into the Deoxys. I am able to catch a move here, which is going to be the Psycho Boost. I can still go for the Shadow Ball and knock them out. And this is going to be a very easy game for me to still win, as the opponent is now basically in a range I can just farm them all the way down. Moving on. Final game for today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. With every interaction you do for the video, it helps out to spread it wider to more audience basically, if you like this kind of content. So feel free to write a comment or whatever you want. Have fun with that. But also leave a like on the video. It helps out quite a bit. Here we're going to encounter the Lickitung coming in. This is going to be amazing for us again, because we're going to be able to resist the fast move, and we're going to get the attack drop as well. So this is going to allow us to take another Power Whip as well if they want to go for that. And so we can even reach another Scorching Sands, and I can basically try to align myself again, which is going to be amazing. Let's see, I can try to go for the full farm, but it's still going to get to another charge move. So just for the sake of realignment, I'm going to use a shield, and they decide to swap back into their Gligar. Gligar is still a bit scary, because the opponent is going to be able to go for a dig against our Sand Slash here, which is going to do enough to basically knock us out. So we're going to be shields down. We're going to still have two Pokemon, but it's still going to be a tricky one, but they're going to run lead Lantern in the back, and this is amazing because Lantern does not appreciate the Trevenant at all. And as you can see here, they're going to let the first move go through, which I'm fine with, because as you can see, we can take those moves, we can go for another Seed Bomb. The opponent is insanely low already. I can even take this next move. I'm just going to go for the full farm down. At this point of time, I'm going to basically try to two-shield flex for the opponent on me, because I'm not going to use anything and the opponent going to go down here. And that's going to be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.